Hi, everybody. Welcome to another one of our famous FinTech Insights webinars. I have to tell you, this one has taken me a good year to organize with our friend Mac Attram. So let me tell you a little bit about Mac. Mac is a world famous sales expert and business coach. I'll bring him on board soon. But this webinar is basically all about running your business, making more sales, because at FINTECH Circle, if there's one thing we keep hearing again and again from fintechs and the startups, is that, they struggle with sales. So we've lined up one of the world's best. And so without further ado, let me bring on stage the world famous Mac Attram.
Hey, good day to everyone, wherever you are. Thank you very much for bringing me on here. I really appreciate it. It's a great opportunity to really present something that will really make a difference to all fintech entrepreneurs. Thank you very much there, Glenn.
That's all right. I'll just a little bit of background, because how long have I known you now, Mac? How many years?
Oh, that's a good question.
How many years?
It's certainly more than 7 or 8 years now, I think.
Yeah. Just an interesting bit of background here. I was in a mastermind with Mac, and it's like, it's Mac, man, he knows his stuff. Mac's amazing. And then it was the slides keep appearing here. So just there we go. Can I just see in the chat what we're seeing on stage at the moment? Because I can sort of see, let me remove slides. I just keep seeing the slides popping up, just so you know. I was going to say, no. I remember, I know Mac, he knows his stuff out. But then when I saw you live on stage, 1,000 people in the room, and the guy up and said, "That's Mac. My God, that's my friend Mac. He's an absolute legend." So I was very impressed, I have to say. But without further ado, why don't I be quiet and let's do the webinar, which is all focused on sales success, fintech sales success. So over to you, Mac. Over to you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Glenn. I really, really appreciate the time and the opportunity. I want to thank the whole team at FINTECH Circles. And I want to say thank you to anyone who's listening and watching this particular masterclass right now. And let me ask you a question. If you're watching this masterclass, then that means you are looking at growing your business. You're looking at improving your marketing. You're looking at improving your sales and increasing your sales revenue. And I hope you said yes to that, because that is the focus of today's masterclass. So the focus is sales and business growth. So I'm going to go through some models with you. I'm going to go through some specific things that our clients are using currently to grow their business. Listen carefully, to grow their business anywhere from between 20% and 200% in less than 1 year. And I'm going to give you some case studies, and I'm going to give you some principles on how they are doing that. I'm going to show you the strategies and the framework they use to create that. So I hope you're as excited about this presentation as much as I am. So for those of you who don't know me, I know there are people probably listening in from around the UK and listening from around the world in Europe. So thank you for being here. Thank you again to the FINTECH Circles team. And for those of you who don't know me, for the past 17 years, I've been training and coaching business owners and entrepreneurs to grow their business so they can have more free time, have better teams, change their business into a wealth generating system and live the life that they really want to live. So this presentation is for fintech entrepreneurs, and I'm going to show you how, or you're going to discover how our clients are growing exponentially and how you can too, using the same process, using the same system that they are using. And as I said, these are the kind of numbers they're doing in less than a year. Why are they doing between 20% and 200% in less than a year? Well, simply because finally they have a system. They have something they can follow that is replicatable and continuously gives them the result that they are looking for. And so I'm going to ask you to do something here. I'm going to ask you to stay to the very end of this presentation, grab a notebook and pen, because often when I do these presentations, people say, oh, I wish I'd wrote that down. I wish I'd wrote that down. And stay to the very end, even if there's an element that says to you, oh, but I know that. You know, we know that when our mind says we know that, we turn off. But when people say they know that, I ask them, do you do that? And if you're not doing that, then maybe you've read about it, you've seen it somewhere, you've heard about it. But what I want to do is really about implementation so that we actually do it, not just know about it. So stay to the very end, and I have something very special at the end for you as well that you will love. I own an international coaching and training company. We have coaches all around the world coaching our clients. The company is called Mindspace Coaching. We're based in London, and our true mission is to support and empower entrepreneurs to build a great business that make a difference to humanity. So when the FinTech Circles team says, Matt, can you do a presentation masterclass for us? What you are doing in the FinTech arena is changing humanity, is making a big impact to humanity in terms of the way we transact these days and into the future. So under no uncertain terms, must we look at that lightly. It's making a big shift across the world. So it's a great place, a great partnership for us and FinTech Circles. Just a little bit of credibility. I'm an author of 4 best-selling books. My latest book, the one in the middle, The Millionaire Moment, I published that in 2020. And it's all about how our minds shape our financial destiny. My rags to riches, if you like, from being broke to creating the wealth I created. How did I do it? And a lot of it was through business. And I'll talk more about that in a little while. I've been featured on various magazines, BBC, the Forbes, Sky Television, The Guardian, various places. Before the COVID situation, I was traveling around the world, teaching to large audiences, teaching wealth creation, business success, business development. And I've had the pleasure to train over 100,000 people in over 50 countries to grow their wealth. And I say all that because people often say to me, Mac, how did you create, you're very successful. How did you do that? I'll tell you, it may look good now that I've successful businesses, multi-million pound property business and an international training company. But my life wasn't always that way. Business wasn't always that way. There was a time when I found myself totally broke. I was running a small computer company in London, working very hard. I ended up working 16, 17, 18 hours a day, getting very little sleep. Why? Because I was trying to get this business to work. My 2 business partners who I was working with cheated on the business, and a lot of money went missing. And suddenly it is me trying to fulfill all the roles of sales and marketing, the operational, as well as managing the business, which they were supposed to be doing. Someone was responsible for sales and marketing. Someone was responsible for operations and networking and computing. So now I had to manage the whole operation, and it was taking its toll on me. To give it a real reality, it was a time when my wife was pregnant with our 2nd child. And a few short years had gone by where I was hardly at home because I was working so hard to make sure that I could really feed my family. Now I found myself over 100,000 in debt, money that I owed other people. So it was a struggle. So I've had the pain of struggling in business. And I came to a point one evening driving home from my office, 5 minutes from my home. To show you how real this is, I stopped my car in the shopping center car park, 5 minutes from my home, and I had my hands in the wheels. I was parked. And I went through this breakdown, feeling sorry for myself and asking myself, or telling myself I'm a failure. I'm a failure. How did I get here where I'm not enjoying my business? I'm not enjoying my life. It looks like my wife's going to leave me because I'm working all these hours and things are not working. And then I came to a realization this. The realization was, how do successful people do business? How do they run successful operations? How do they become wealthy? And I realized there were things that I didn't know. So I went on a mission to self-discovery, to learn. And now through the learning, through the various seminars or webinars, tele-seminars back in those days, and having a coach, it transformed me and I transformed my business. And in less than 2 years, I was able to fix my business. Then I sold that business and I started investing in other businesses and also training and coaching other people. And the reason why I got into training and coaching is this. People kept asking, when I sold my business, I had a lot of time in my hands. People kept asking me, Matt, can you help me with my business? So I was helping people one-on-one. And then I had an idea of helping people in groups. So I was doing live group trainings in London. And then suddenly I was hired across the world to train in front of thousands of people to help them transform their life and their business and their wealth. So I share all that with you as to the reason why I teach other people. So let's get straight into, I hope you're ready to learn some of the things that changed my life and changed my business. I hope you are ready to learn. So let's get into it. Now, right, so what is the biggest challenge for small business? For most small businesses, what is the challenge? Now, having worked in this field of working with small businesses and people in the fintech space as well, and the software space as well, it's generally to do with this. It's attracting and closing more clients. They're looking for a way of attracting and closing more clients so they can have more revenues, better profits if they run the operations correctly. But it hinges on clients and closing. And if you're not able to attract the right clients, you're not able to close them into becoming clients in the first place, then you'll always struggle. So it's important. So let me give you an example, and then I'm going to teach you exactly some things that you can start using right now. This is one of our clients, Ronald Harmson. And Ronald Harmson, 2 years ago now, 2020, 3 years ago, he was running his business. Now, he had been running his business for 25 years. And he said for the past 10 years, he'd come to this glass ceiling. Just nothing was working. And he was doing 800,000 euros a year. And he's based in Holland. 800,000 euros a year in this software company. He's the owner. And following our system, which I'm going to be sharing with you right now, he was able to double his business to more than 1.6 million in less than 1 year. Why? How? Stay tuned. So that's what I want to share with you. And I've got lots of examples like that. So as I said, typically our clients grow between 20% and 200% in less than 1 year. Follow our system and you can experience the same. So what you do need is a system. This is not, if you want to really scale your business and grow your business, this is not about hit and miss. This is not about trial and error. Yes, you can do that. But if you have a system, do you realize that you can actually move forward much faster because the system already works? It's worked for me, it's worked for our clients. I learned the hard way. You don't have to. So the part of it, this is called a business growth system. And there are 3 key elements, and I'm going to break them down in a moment for you. The first part is, as we know, if you are in business, which a lot of you are, whether you're a consultant, whether you have a software company, whether you've designed an app, FINTECH Circle want to ensure that you have the right information, the right knowledge in order to grow. So I applaud FINTECH Circle for putting this event together. Now, number one, you've got to have the ability to attract the right clients. And so we have a formula called a client attraction formula, which I'll break down to you in a moment, which allows you to be able to have the right prospects come into your environment, say, hey, can you help me? I understand you do this. And they hold their hand up, or they knock on your door, or they pick up the phone, or they filling out their forms and send it or emailing you. The next step is, now they are in front of you, you and your team, if you do have one, must have the ability to close them. When I say close, I'm talking about close it, selling and closing. In other words, convincing them or persuading them or showing them the solution you have in a way that addresses their problem, that they say, yes, you are the right person. And so they transfer their funds to you, or they pay you for your service. We call this the authentic sales process. In other words, even if you don't like selling, you can sell without selling, if that makes any sense, just by being you. And when I say authentic, just by being you. And I'll show you a process that those of our clients who've never liked it, never really liked selling, have said, look, now they enjoy talking to prospects and clients. The step 3 is all about systems and structure. And with systems and structure, as you know, business success is based on what? Numbers. How do you know if you're doing well or not? It's all based on numbers. So if you have a system and you can track every part of that system and you know the numbers around it, guess what? Now you can start tweaking, you can start adjusting what's working, what's not working. And so we supply our clients with systems and structures. I'm talking about dashboards, accountability boards that they can monitor. And structure is about, once this is working, who's in your team to follow through. So it doesn't always have to be you doing every element of it. So the starting point is this, and this is what I ask people, because now you know there are 3 steps for business growth. The starting question is why, if you are in business right now, which a lot of you are, why would anyone give you their money? Why would anyone give you their money? Well, think about this. The only reason why that transaction happens, or someone transfers their money from their bank account to yours, or takes money out of their pocket and gives it to you in business, is this. Simply, there's 2 parts. One is they have a problem that they don't want. That's the first step. So what is their problem that they do not really want? And the second thing is there's a result that they want, but they don't have currently. Now, it doesn't matter what you're selling, whether it's a mobile app with your technology on it, whether you're a consultant. It is the fact that they have a problem. So what is the problem that they just want to overcome, or they don't want anymore? And what is the result that they're looking for? Because you've got to establish that. You've got to really know what that is. So let's get into the training. Remember these 2 parts. It's very, very important. And this is where business owners often go wrong. One is they are unclear on who their ideal client is. Without knowing who your ideal client is, you don't know how you can serve them. Without knowing who your ideal client is, what happens is you start talking to everybody and anybody. No, the key thing is it's only some people who have those problems who are going to listen to what you have to say anyway. So if you're unclear who your ideal client is, you will struggle for many years. Now, the other thing is having no idea about their clients' pains or problems. And when I say their clients' pains or problems, what is a pain when it comes to business? What is a problem when it comes to business? What is a pain or a problem when it comes to your ideal clients? Is it they are frustrated with something? Is it something they're using currently is inconvenient? Is there something that keeps them up at night, keeps them frustrated, keeps them really worried, keeps them stressed out? Or is it simply they have something, but it just doesn't work? And it doesn't work. Or it doesn't work as well as maybe the thing that you have. So what is their problem? What is their pain? And the other thing is they are often unsure of where to find and attract the right clients. So if you don't know where they are, how to find them, guess what? you cannot scale your business. You cannot grow your business. So you've got to know. So the fourth thing, last point, in terms of where I find a lot of business owners go wrong, entrepreneurs go wrong, and fintech companies as well, is they have no defined process to close sales. As a business owner, there has to be a clear, definite process, step-by-step process to close more and more sales. This is how you can grow. This is how you can scale. And I'll share with you a process you can follow in the moment. So let's get in. There's two areas I want to talk about then, because I've said the first two steps. So right now I'm going to spend some time on the client attraction process. There are 6 parts of it. I hope this is making sense to you. I hope I think Gabriel is here, Jeremy's here, so good to see you. There are 2 parts. There are 6 parts to the client attraction process. Number 1, this part is about establishing your ideal client profile. And the truth is, things change. So some people say to me, but I know who my ideal client is. And I say, things change. The market changes. So you should be doing this at least 2 or 3 times a year. That's what we do, and that is what we advise our clients as well. So who is your ideal client? Think about it. Could you define it? Then have you got absolute clarity of the person who will buy from you? They have the money, they have the problem, they have the pain, they have the situation that your solution provides. And when I say your ideal client, I'm talking about getting to know this person intimately. And I'll tell you this, some people say, but anyone who uses an iPhone is my ideal client, right? Anyone who uses a Samsung phone is my ideal client. Or so they may say, well, anyone who's involved in the fintech space is my ideal client. But it's more than that. It is much more than that. You have to be able to drill it down furthermore to describe what do they do, where do they work, what's their position. There's a lot to it, so you've got to take time to do that. Number 2, now, as I mentioned earlier on, you've got to know their pains. Understand their pain fully, and you have to have the ability to articulate it clearly, right? So I'll give you a situation. If you don't know who your ideal client is, you start talking to, from a marketing perspective, you start talking to everyone. In other words, your messaging, your messages, your emails, your social media, your website becomes very general. And when it becomes very general, you're not talking to anyone in particular. And so imagine 2 types of people, and one person is, and they read your email or they go to your website. They are a yoga instructor. They stumbled across your website. Maybe they're a yoga instructor, and they read through your stuff, or they received your email by accident. Are they going to take any action on it? Unless they're interested in your particular thing, probably not. Nothing wrong with yoga instructors, by the way. But let's take another example of a business owner who's looking at finding ways to do certain financial transactions. And those financial transactions, they've got other solutions they're using, but it's not working as well as they would like. Now, this person is the business owner. This person, their staff complains about this particular financial transaction situation. It's inconvenient, it's frustrating, it's stressful. We don't know if things go from end to end or not. And this person is 40 years of age, and this person earns 100,000 a year, and this person has 2 kids. Could you really describe this person and their pains? What are the frustrations for this company? And number 3, create your narrow market. Some people call this your niche. So there's a group of people who, when they come across your business, and then if the messaging is correct, will want to buy from you. Now, could you describe this narrow market? And for a lot of people, for a lot of companies just like yours, there's going to be an A narrow market, and there's also going to be a B narrow market. So A niche and a B niche. A niche or a narrow market are people or companies who, when they come across your business and your solution now, they are in the market to buy. So if they're in the market to buy, then that's great. It's an easier sell. But there's also people in the B narrow market, the B niche. And these people or these companies don't think they've got your problem, don't think they need any help, don't feel like they actually need your solution or your product or anything like that. But when if the messaging is correct, this group of people start inquiring and want to do business with you as well. I hope this is making sense. If this is making sense and you are there, just give me say yes in the chat box for me, please. Say yes, so I know that you are getting messages and you're listening to and hearing things fully. All right, so
I'm just going to pop up for a second and say 100%, mate, 100%. Like, we have a great say. I just want to throw it in. I keep thinking it. In marketing, we always say, if you talk to everyone, in fact, you talk to nobody. You know, it's got to be so as you say, narrow market or so niche. It's like, that's who my target is. Bang, and it's right on point. The other thing is, I'll just throw this in because I see it so much. We go to FINTECH Circle. We obviously go to a lot of networking events. I'm thinking of the payment awards the other day. So often, this is crazy to me, when it's a salesperson in FinTech, so they're in the industry, in FinTech, salesperson, and I'll be feeding them. I'm sort of, yeah, but what's the problem you solve? Sorry, what's your problem? Even when you're feeding the question, they're just too busy talking about the plumbing. They're talking about the plumbing. Right. Most business owners, as you know and agree, I'm sure, they're obsessed with their product.
Yeah.
And the moment that you become obsessed with your client, like you say, your persona, your avatar, and you're really speaking to them about their worries, their pains, the result they want, you've got to be communicating about them, not about you. Hey, buddy. Yeah.
You got it.
You're delivering magic. Keep it up.
Excellent. All right. Cheers for that, Glenn. So very, very good. So so very good. I'm glad you're getting that. So let's go to section format number 4. Number 4 is about formatting your attraction message. And Glenn just said it there. You know, some people go to a networking event, or they go to a seminar, they go to a conference, and people say, what do you do? And they start spurting off all this jargon, all this technology stuff sometimes, or their processes or what they do, and the other person doesn't get it. And guess what? On their website, it's still the same. On their email formatting, it's still the same. People are not interested, as I said, they're not interested in you. They're not interested in your product. They're not interested in your program. They're not interested in what you have. What they are interested in is, look, do you understand my problem? And will your solution help me? Remember, as I said earlier on, your job is to understand their problem, and there's a problem that they have that they don't want, and there is a result that they want but they don't have. So your messaging must address that very, very well. Number 5, have a clear market dominating position. Now, some people think, well, I'll get a couple of questions here. What is a market dominating position? First of all, I'll explain. And some people say, look, I already have a market dominating position. A market dominating position is this. Why should your client choose you? And in the marketplace where it is crowded, there's a lot of noise. There are people doing what you are doing, by the way, or a version of it. And they are listening to all these people, or they come across them, or they don't know even that they know they exist. A market dominating position is a process that we take our clients through, which gets them to for the marketplace to see them as, oh, if I have this problem, this is the company to go to. So by creating which would take me a couple of hours to teach here, we don't have a couple of hours, but by creating a market dominating position, it sets you apart from the competition. Let me ask you a question. Would you like to create a situation where you are seen and you are differentiated from the marketplace? It's clear why people should come to you and what they are going to get. It's clear in a sense that actually it eliminates the competition, because what a market dominating position does, elevates you to the top, and the reason why people should listen to you and buy from you. Now, not many business coaches do that. They don't teach market dominating position. I do, because it makes a big difference. Number 6, hey, by the way, there will be, I believe, and if it's okay with Glenn, I will go through the whole presentation, and I maybe do a Q&A in the last 5 or 10 minutes. And so let's set up for that. We are focused on sales and marketing here right now. And number 6 is position yourself as the go-to solution. So there is a way of positioning that if you get this right, the marketplace or your niche, your target market, know that actually when I have this problem, this company is who I go to. This person is the person to go to. So if you're not positioned as the go-to solution, guess what? Your ideal clients will hunt around everywhere, ask questions, and what happens is they will find another company who may or may not be a good company to work with. And you have a good solution for them. So positioning, and there are ways of positioning. And remember, you are already good at what you do. You can help your clients. Positioning is how everyone else will see how good you really are. There are many ways to position, which again will take me a couple of hours to go through. But essentially, you have to have the credibility. You have to be creating content. You have to be like a beginning. I have spent time writing books. Okay, that's one way of positioning. You don't have to write a book. You can position yourself in different ways that people get to see you as the go-to solution. Whether they need that help now or they need that help later, when they are ready, they will have you in mind. So that's very important. So the client attraction process, every single part, in our elite coaching program, we take our clients through developing all of this, and they go through that in over a 12-week, in a 3-month or a 6-month format, and they implement all that, as well as all the business growth thing that I talked about earlier on. So you have done some of these things before. So why aren't you closing more sales? Why aren't you making more money? Because it has to be refined. It has to be refined in a way that the marketplace understands it, and you are the obvious choice to buy from. So let's take a look at the second step. So step 1, client attraction formula. Step 2, the authentic sales closing process. Now, if step number 1 is to attract prospects to you, remember the difference between prospects and clients. Prospects haven't given you their money yet. You could be still in a conversation with them, whereas clients have given you their money and they are expecting a good service. So the authentic sales process, there are 6 steps again. 6 steps. Number 1, you have to have the ability to identify the right clients. I've talked about that already because it's part of the client attraction formula. Step number 2, when you do come across the right clients, you've got to have the ability to contact them and build rapport. And what happens is when people are not selling authentically, let's take a scenario. Maybe part of your marketing is networking, as we said. So you go into a networking environment or you meet someone at a conference. What some people do, they have their name cards, their business cards, and they shove it into someone else's hands. And they say, hey, this is my name. I'm from blah, 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 this company, and let's connect. Now, this is not good. This is not good, because what happens to those business cards? It gets filed under B for bin or T for trash. So what happens is you have to have the ability to make contact with them, build rapport. How do you build rapport with another person? Now, you can exchange rapport for the word affinity. And affinity simply means that they've got to know you, like you, and trust you. Remember, people are not going to buy from you. People buy from people. They're not going to buy from you until they know you, like you, or trust you, or they feel they have that. So part of our elite coaching program is showing you exactly how to do that. Without, right now, you're not selling anything yet. You've identified the right clients, you've made contact, you've built rapport or affinity. They are now in the place where, because how do you build rapport? Okay, one of the key ways is to ask questions. Ask questions and be deeply concerned about them. Be deeply interested about them. When you do ask questions and you are fact-finding and you are qualifying, what happens is at some point they will ask you a question. And I've done this in closing millions and millions of pounds. I've done this many, many times. And they will ask you a question. The question would often be one of these questions or a variation of it. Hey, by the way, what is it you do again? Hey, by the way, what is it you do? I didn't quite get it. Now, when you get asked that question, you have to have the ability to deliver your pitch or deliver your solution. And for lots of small business owners and their sales team that I've come across, that we've trained, it's not clear. And they waffle for 5 minutes. They waffle for 10 minutes, right? And if you are not clear, people don't know how you can help them. Now, when people say to me, what is it you do? I tell them, for the past 17 years, I've trained and coached hundreds of thousands of small business owners to grow their business, typically growing between 20% to 200% in less than 1 year. Would you like to know more about that? And then they open up. Then I go into the next step, the next step, the next step. And I then move to step number 4. Remember, everything I'm teaching you, plus more in our elite coaching, our clients have been through. Ronald Harmson, who I mentioned earlier on, who doubled his business, he's not the only one, I have many clients like that, went through the same process. And they got to a place where their teams had to go through the same process. Okay, this works time and time again. You'll get to a place where at some point, if your client hasn't said yes to you, or sorry, the prospect hasn't said yes to you, it's still a no. And that no sounds like this. Listen very carefully. That no is not always a no, because some people are often polite. They won't say no to your solution, but they will say things like, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I am not interested in that, we already have that solution, it's too expensive. So let me give you, I'm talking about objections they'll give you, okay? They're going to give you some objections. And those objections, there's typically 3 to 4. I'll give you 4 main objections that people have as to why they're not buying from you now. Remember that, as I said in the beginning, people are in the beginning, let me reiterate, people who you come across are asking, why should I buy this from you? Why should I buy this thing from you? And why should I buy it from you now? Why should I buy this thing from you? And why should I buy from you now? So you've got to so there are 4 main objections, write these down. One is to do with finances. Second one is to do with time. So finances is, it's too expensive, I haven't got the money, we don't have a budget for that. We usually have a budget for that. We set our budget on in April, we can talk next year, whatever. Number 2 is to do with time. This is not the right time for us to purchase this. We already bought this thing 3 months ago. Number 3 is to do with interest. In other words, I'm not interested in it, or I already have it, or I already have something similar, or we're working with a company that services us and we're pretty happy. And number 4 is to do with trust. Trust. Trust simply means that I don't trust you enough for me to buy from you. I don't trust you enough to part with my money, or there's something I have not heard yet. So usually the objections or the no's you're going to get, it's not always a no. You have to have the ability to turn those no's into a yes. We teach our clients through our elite coaching program, step by step, on how to handle the objections. So have you ever had a situation where someone says, I can't afford it, or it's too expensive, or we don't have, if you don't have a system, a process to turn that no into a yes, then you are leaving thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds on the table. You're leaving it on the table because you don't have that process. And we teach that process. Number 4, once you've handled their objections and turned that no into a yes, then we go into pre-closing and closing. Well, what's the difference? Pre-closing is just warming them up before you ask them to sign on the dotted line or transfer their money to you or fill out the order form, depending on your type of business. And number 6 is all about following up. You know, at some point, once they've purchased from you, I'm talking about, when I say you, it could be your salespeople, need to go back at some point and check on how they are doing. What is the product or service they bought? Is it working for them? This is an authentic way, because if you know, as part of the sales process, you've got to go back to them in a few weeks, go back to them in a few months to see how they're doing. Well, then you are going to sell authentically. You want them to win. You want to give them the right information, the right product, the right program, the right process, the right app, the right software, so they can succeed. So I love this process, and I've taught hundreds of thousands of people this same process, which works for them. Obviously, it's much deeper. There are processes within all these processes, which I said we teach at the Elite Coaching Program. Now, this is a video which I can't play because this system allows only for, let me click on it. I can't play. But simply, this is a video from Ronald Harmson, talks through his step-by-step, his process, his journey with Mindspace, my company. And he talks about where he was struggling for the last 11 years, 10 years or whatever. And he had come to this glass ceiling. And he talks about what he went through to change and transform himself and transform his business to doubling his business. So I can't play the video because, as I said, it's not showing. But let's continue.
I was going to say, Mac, just out of curiosity, because I know you can't share the video here now, but maybe with your permission, could we share it with the attendees afterwards? Could we send them the video? Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, there you go. And remember, any questions and answers at the end, please post them into the chat. Yeah, but I just wanted to check that. We'll Q&A at the end as well, anyway. But yeah, that'd be awesome if you share the video then. Thanks, buddy.
I'll definitely do that. Yeah, I'll share it with you. Okay, so you see, one of the reasons why I teach the way I teach is because I struggled for many years in business, and until I figured out how to do sales and marketing and putting the operations together and finance and all the things that go with it. And you could be in business right now, and you could be in business for the next 20, 30 years, working your socks off, working really hard and struggling without knowing what to do. And often because you don't know what you don't know. We've had clients like that, and they come to us and they just feel internally that they can't breathe. They feel like they're drowning under the pressure and the water. They're just drowning. Or sometimes they feel paralyzed. They feel stuck, and so they procrastinate. And so what I do is that as a business coach, I offer consulting. And usually large companies will hire me to consult with them, and I charge $30,000 a day, £30,000 a day, depending on which country I'm in. But what that does, it actually puts a whole framework together for them And I lay out exactly what their marketing needs to look like, their sales needs to look like, and how their teams can adapt it. And sometimes I train their teams as well. So that's what I do. I don't work with too many clients because one-on-one consulting is very limited. If you are interested in that, look, just email me info@mindspacecoaching.com, mindspacecoaching.com. But I will tell you something. I did discuss something with FINTECH Circle, and they said, look, for those who can't hire you one-on-one, Mac, what can you do? Well, the good news is I do have a one-day business accelerator bootcamp. And the one-day accelerator bootcamp, I go deeper into everything that I've spoken about, and you actually start putting it in place there and then at the bootcamp. So the idea is that you'll have everything in place that when you follow through will enable you to grow between 20% and 200% in the next year. Okay. How do I know it's 20 to 200%? Because all our clients, we track their numbers. Why do we track their numbers? Because at the end of 3 months, at the end of the 6 months, at the end of the year, we look at them because they're working with us. We say, look, where were you in terms of numbers, in terms of your sales, in terms of your profits? Where were you a year ago? They look at it, and we then say, okay, look at your numbers now. And they are amazed by what they see, because month after month, they just take it for granted. But when they rewind the clock back, they think, oh, I can see where the systems have been placed. And so this is a one-day program. In this one-day program, I go deeper into the client attraction formula. I go into the authentic sales process. I go deeper into the system and structure so you can start putting things in place. So with your permission, if I can take a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes to tell you, for those who are interested in the Business Accelerator Bootcamp, I can tell you very briefly how you can get involved in it, when is it, where is it. I don't want you to struggle for 20, 30, 40 years and not create the lifestyle that you really, really desire. So with your permission, let me do that now. Glenn, I hope that's okay. The Business Accelerator Bootcamp is for entrepreneurs only. Now, if you're in fintech and you're running a business, whether it's consulting, whether it's a finance, or whether it's an app, whatever it is, if you're ambitious and you really want to scale quickly and you want to get the sales and marketing handled ASAP, if you're not ambitious, it's not for you. Now, typically, so when is it? Typically, when I was doing these boot camps live in London or around the world, it was 1997. 1,997 is what we charged. Now, for FinTech Circle, I've agreed a discounted fee for £499 pounds. Now, when is it? It's the 11th of November, 2022. It's a virtual one-day live event. I'm teaching the whole thing for one day. We are going to implement all these systems around your sales and your marketing so you can scale and grow exponentially. The result we're looking for you by implementing these things is increased revenue, increased sales. Let me ask you a question. For those who are sitting there thinking, oh, $499, is it really worth it? Can I afford it? I want you to put your investor hat on. Because if you invested £499 in yourself, in your business right now, and over the next few months, over the next month, over the next year, you're able to grow your sales by 20%, 50%, 100%, 200%, is that a worthwhile investment? The answer is clearly yes. It's a worthwhile investment. So right now, let me ask you, if you're doing sales of $250,000, or you're doing sales of 2 million, and you are able to grow by 20%, 50%, or 100%, is that $499 a good investment? Clearly, yes. I'll tell you this, that I struggled for years and years and years, not knowing how to fix my business. It felt like my wife was going to leave me. And I've been married now for 22 years, by the way. 3 adorable children. But it was a struggle at the beginning until I really figured it out. And when I figured this out, and how it really, really works, I knew it was my duty to help as many people, as many entrepreneurs, to have the same thing, to have a lot more success in life, to have a lot more wealth and make a lot more money. So I invite you to come to the Business Accelerator Bootcamp with me, to come and learn, to come and grow, to come and really, really see and implement finally what you've been looking for. Now, the Business Accelerator Bootcamp, and I'm sure someone will share a link with us, but if you go to fintechcircle.com/Mac-bootcamp, so -boots-camp, you'll be able to see the details of that and register. I'm going to urge you to register. We will spend a day together. I will help you to implement these things right there at the program and help you to grow your business. So it'll be me teaching you, exactly how to attract the right clients, exactly how to close them, sell. I've got a whole script, I've got a whole thing that I'll go with you. And by the way, everything I teach, I give you the script, I'll give you the template, I'll give you the things that will make your life easier. And at $499, people think I'm mad. I should be charging $2,000 or more for this one-day boot camp. So I invite you to come along. So over to you. I'm going to do some Q&A now. So can we put the link into the chat box at all?
Yeah, it's there. It's in the chat right now. So if anybody wants to click on it, but can I just say, because I know sometimes when you make an offer, it's like, but I've actually been, I've been twice. That's how good the boot camp was. I have personally been on the boot camp twice. Correct. Simply because the first time was awesome, but I wanted to come a second time because there's so much that's being shared, so much value. That's why I actually did it the second time. True. I also want to say true story. I think actually on your site you'll find Glenn is, because just for clarity, as well as being head of partnerships at FINTECH Circle, because I chose to enter the interesting fintech space. We also have a sister agency called POW, and we actually had coaching with Mac at POW, and I think I'm actually on your website because I think you doubled our profit. Is that right? You doubled our profit in 4 months.
It was more than double.
It was more than double. No, and that's for facts. And I want to tell this clear story because I mean, it's the intrinsic things that sort of, all I know is I remember speaking to you, and I was coming to you about a client who shall not be named. Hopefully you'll remember, but and I was like, these guys, they just don't have enough money. I've got to let them go. They're just taking too much. They don't have the budget. I'm just going to have to cancel them. And I remember you telling me, you told me to go back to that meeting where I was going to fire that client because they didn't have budget, but to go back and sort of, this sounds odd, but go back in a loving way from a value place, which I did.
Yep.
And that client that I was going to fire because they didn't have budget, about 3 months later was actually my biggest client we're generating the most from. And I know for fact I was going to fire them prior talking to you. Yeah. So, and I know that sounds like a bit of an odd one, but those are true stories. You did what you did to our profits. That story always sticks in my mind because I remember that meeting very clearly. So, I mean, I'm just sharing those stories from myself, from my perspective, but thank you for sharing.
Most welcome.
Yeah. I've got a few Q&As, and if anybody posts them here, they're popping up for me. So one that I can see here is, sorry, let me just read out. Okay. So can you give us a little bit more detail on objection handling? Could you give us an example? So let's pretend somebody was to say, I don't have time. I don't have time. What would you actually immediately say to that within the process? What would somebody said that to you?
Right, let me give you. So someone said I don't have time.
I don't have time.
What most people do is they try and push that person or justify with that person or agree with that person, or sometimes they retaliate. And it sometimes can get into a competitive battle. What you must do when someone gives you that kind of an objection, you have to acknowledge it. Don't ignore it. you have to acknowledge the fact that they don't have time, right? And so one way to acknowledge it is, Glenn, I really appreciate you don't have time to look at this right now, right? And then what you once you've acknowledged them, they lower their defenses from a psychological point of view. Because most people, and I teach this in the boot camp, most people don't feel heard. When you're talking to someone, they just want to jump in with their words at times. They don't feel heard. But just by you acknowledging them, they lower their defenses. Then you ask them a question around it. You ask them, so, you know, you said you don't have enough time. If you did have enough time, would this be suitable for you? That's one way. It doesn't matter, you know, you're going to talk about questions around time. What all we're trying to do through the objection handling process, as I said, it'll take me a couple of hours to teach it.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is, what is the real truth? What is the real truth as to why they not remember what we've done, Glenn? We've said, look, we've spent time understanding who the ideal client is, what their pains are, what their problems are. Now they're in front of us. Why are they not buying? If you've got a cut on your arm and it's gushing blood, and I've got the plaster and I've got the antiseptic and I can put it on there to heal, no, I'd rather gush blood and die. So all we're saying is that we acknowledge, so we know it's the right person. So why are they buying? So the objection may be valid, but the objection is often because of something that they haven't heard yet. So by acknowledging the fact they don't have enough time, by asking them a question and continue acknowledging and asking them questions, you're going to get the truth.
Yes.
And the truth could be, hey, actually, Glenn, you know, if we were to start this in 3 months' time, it'll be ideal for me. Do you think we can make that work? Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, well, it just same, expanding. I remember being on your boot camp, and I remember objection to handling, and I remember standing there because like you said, because there is a process, right? So step one is don't take no for an answer. So they've said something, acknowledge it, because like you say, they feel heard and their barriers come down. So you acknowledge it, and then what was step two again? So acknowledge it, then ask a question. Is that right? Yep.
Yeah.
And then ask a question. But you keep that process going, right, until you get to the truth, because the truth down here is really, you know, let's say I don't have time. Maybe they're just worried about they're not generating enough sales, they haven't got the cash flow. That's really what's going on in their mind. But I'm just saying, I'm too busy at the moment. I'm too busy because I don't want to admit I'm scared about my cash flow. Does it make sense? I'm afraid I can't spend the time on this because I'm so busy doing all these other things.
Yeah,
I know, as an example, the reality is if you're really busy and you can't take the time to work on your business instead of in your business, you've got a major problem already. So it's no, can you afford not to? Yeah, no, just acknowledging, because I remember it clearly, overcoming objections, I have to say, listen, in the world of fintech, all the fintechs who approach us, that's why it took us so long to get you here today, and I appreciate your time. Unfortunately, we've only got 2 minutes left. I'd like to do a lot more Q&A, but if anybody is interested, obviously follow the link, and I highly recommend it. At the same time, I would say if you want to see that video, we'll send the video afterwards, and we'll be in touch. Just out of curiosity, can we share the slides, because we love the client attraction process, because I mean that's the beginning Can we share that? So anybody who adds their details in, we'll share the slides with. We'll also send the video, and I personally can't recommend Mindspace and your coaching enough, because like I say, we've actually used it at POW. So thank you, sir. Thank you, because let's be honest, say where you are at the moment. Say where you are.
Well, I'm actually in a country called Ghana, and I've come to Ghana because my auntie, she got to the age of 93 and she passed away. Now, it's a very special auntie to me, so I came over to really support her and support her family.
So I'm just acknowledging that, because I want to say thank you so much, because so many people would have cancelled.
Yeah, because I made this promise to you, and you know me, I live by a code of honor. For me, it's honorable. So yes, they paused things while I can come and train for an hour and deliver what the value I wanted to deliver Yeah, because the easiest thing is to cancel, but I don't want to do that because people wanted to be here. So thank you for that, Glenn.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, so we're over time and it does cut us off. So we'll follow up an email, but thank you so much, Mac. And I greatly appreciate your time, especially in times of a family crisis, as it were. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Much appreciated.
Speak soon. Take care.
Take care.
Bye,
Thank you, Mac.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Good luck with everything you're doing.